Hi everyone, and welcome back to the P.O.W.E.R podcast, property, ownership, wealth and everything related. I'm Melissa Ashcroft, Managing Director of the AAA Financial Group. Today I'm pleased to introduce you to Dale Walsh. He's the Head of Mortgage Management at Altura Funding, a non-bank specialist. So what we're going to talk about is the changes in Resi SMSF, and who better to have on our podcast than Altura Funding Head of Mortgage Management, Dale Walsh, who has a unique specialty in SMSF. So a lot has changed in SMSF lending, particularly for Resi. So Dale, can you please explain to our listeners what those changes are? And I might ask you a few questions because I'm still learning myself.
So the Greens and Albo decided to strike a deal, and ultimately residential lending is being pulled off the table.
Right.
Now, those changes are going to come into play on the 10th of August.
2026.
2026.
So next month.
So, matter of days really.
Yep.
And ultimately buying a residential property inside of your super fund using debt, so an LRBA, will be abolished.
You can still buy a residential security in your SMSF if you don't have debt, correct?
Correct.
But if you want debt, no.
Correct, for residential. If it's commercial, obviously different story, we'll get to that.
Yep.
What we've seen a big uplift in lately is clients signing off the plan properties.
Sure,
because,
and why are they doing that?
Yeah, so as long as you sign a contract by the 9th of August, you can settle that property in a year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on when the construction's going to be completed.
Right.
The important part is you've got to have the fund ready to go. You've got to sign into a contract. More importantly, do all your due diligence.
Yep.
And make sure that contract is signed with no errors, no issues. There's sometimes this confusion around what goes on the contract, be it the trust, the P.O.W.E.R trust, the trustee. Speak to your accountants. But assuming that's signed by the 9th, then we can settle that loan in 27, 28, 29.
Whenever the development's complete.
Correct.
Right, and so that's Resi.
That's Resi.
So for those
and refinances are still there.
Okay, so let's say you and I both have our own Resi SMSF together.
Yep.
And we're looking at the different funding in the market. We can still refinance our loan.
At this point in time, absolutely.
At this point in time, but it could be changed. So
well, potentially, yeah. But I mean, SMSF lending, especially residential, makes up a big part of what the non-banks do these days.
Yes.
It certainly makes up a lot of what we do.
Yes.
So ultimately, I think if lenders are going to start pulling out of the refinance space, then they're going to lose a bit of business. They're going to lose a bit anyway. But I mean, we see rates that are sitting with, I'd say, direct competitors, and the back book is pretty ugly.
Yeah.
Rates, I think I saw one yesterday at 11%.
Yeah.
9% is not uncommon. So I think there still needs to be an opportunity for people to refinance. Worst case scenario, there's 2 or 3 and they up the rates, and anyone with a SMSF residential property they want to refinance, not sell, is going to be at the lender's mercy.
Got it. All right, so Resi's pretty much, unless you've got one already or unless you've already set up your SMSF, because to set up your SMSF if you haven't done so already, it's going to be an extremely difficult task to do before August 10th. And to be transparent, the date of filming is the 29th of July 2026, so it is a matter of days. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about that, because I know this is a podcast that a lot of our listeners will be keen to listen to and learn how they can still buy property in their SMSF. So how do they do that now?
Commercial is still open. I mean, we're seeing a big uplift already in self-employed clients who ultimately want to acquire their current rental property for the business.
Sure. Would you mind just giving us a live example of an SME or a self-employed person or business owner, what they're looking to do with a commercial SMSF? Yeah,
we've got a client at the moment who's paying rent, 130 grand a year for a panel beating business in Sydney North Shore. He's looking to now acquire another property, which is slightly bigger, but the cost is going to be very similar to what the business is paying in rent.
Sure.
So ultimately, his business will occupy that property, which is owned by the self-managed super fund. So you still get all the same benefits that you would from a tax perspective through the business with the rental outgoing and things like that. It's got to trade at market value. You've got to be really careful with that. If it trades below, the ATO could pick it up. They've got good technology. And if that's the case, you may be penalised with a higher tax rate. That's what nobody wants when they're trying to get ahead. But the good thing about that is it ultimately gives people the opportunity to rent toward their retirement. So instead of paying rent to Joe Bloggs down the road, they're paying it to their retirement fund. And if, business is good, generally speaking, they shouldn't need to pull out of it. Sure. And there's obviously benefits if they sell post-retirement or post-preservation age.
So let's be clear then. So we have a property that is being purchased in a commercial self-managed super fund loan.
Yep.
The panel beater client of yours was paying rent, they're buying this property.
Yep.
And because their business is the borrower, because their business is paying the rent.
Yes.
And the business owner owns the commercial self-managed super fund, it's arm's length.
It's arm's length.
And
it's business real property, which is something that's getting thrown around a lot now.
Yes.
But ultimately, it's that gap. So it's two different entities almost that are unrelated parties, but
and
albeit
if you were doing that in resi, that wouldn't work, right?
No.
I can't have a residential self-managed super fund loan in a property that I live in. No. I must rent it out to someone else. So commercial is actually...
It's a win.
It's a win.
It is.
There's a tax benefit, which is...
Well, you get the deduction in your business from the rental outgoing.
Exactly.
If you retain the property until retirement age and ultimately capital gains if you sell it,
is what?
I think it's nil.
Yes.
But that's an accounting question.
Yes.
We don't give that advice.
So basically you can own that commercial security. Your company is paying down the loan on it.
Yeah.
If you end up selling your company, you could still tenant that property
to
absolutely. Anybody else.
You rent it out, it goes to whoever.
Rinse and repeat with other investment opportunities.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
And how much can let's say the factory's 2 million, how much can I borrow?
You can go up to 80%.
80%.
Subject to location.
Sure.
I mean, if it's metro, somewhere in one of the bigger cities, then you're not going to have any issues with 80%.
So 80% is at 1.6 million on a $2 million price.
Correct.
I need GST as well.
Yep.
And I need 400 grand. Where is my 400 grand coming from?
So you may already have it sitting in a fund. There may be ways...
In my own super fund now?
Well, let's say it's you and I. You've got 250k in super.
Yep.
I've got 250k in super.
Yep.
We create our self-managed super fund.
Yep.
Now there's 500,000 sitting in that fund now.
Yep.
We need money for GST, which is probably going to be more on that type of transaction, but ultimately
200.
Yep. 400 would go to the transaction.
Yep.
And then additional 100.
Well, the additional 100 that we have.
You need to put more in.
Yeah. What if I don't have the... Well, we need 600 in this scenario.
Correct. Yep. So plus you're going to have some costs. Residential is a bit different to commercial.
Moving costs. If I'm transferring business to it. So how do I get those other funds?
So that's probably something that I would encourage everyone to speak to their accountants about.
Yes.
We know some good ones who can provide advice if people need it, but ultimately you may be able to get money into your super still in a tax incentivized environment with carried forward rules and where you may not have allocated funds to previous caps and stuff like that. So it gets, I guess, somewhat technical.
Yes.
And like I said, speak to the accountants. This isn't advice. But there are certainly ways that you can get money into super where you may not have been able to have it in before.
Yep. So if you haven't put as much into your super as you might be able to,
Correct.
Your accountant might strategically advise you to do that.
Yep.
And they might sign off on a letter allowing for that to happen, and then you can get that property. And we do know over time property value does increase, and that's the whole point of SMSF, self-managed super fund. The whole point of having superannuation in Australia, which I think people are kind of slowly losing sight of at the moment, is that it's funds for when you retire.
Correct.
So if you're self-managing that, and you know property and understand property and you're a business owner, the smartest investment would be in a commercial property.
Well, yeah, I agree.
Me too. I agree with myself. So really that's what we're talking about today. We're really diving deeply into how a commercial self-managed super fund works. I guess most people already think, a commercial mortgage, that's scary and different. Self-managed super fund, scary and different. But I think what you and the team do at Altura Funding is break it down in a simplified way.
Of course.
But also that you're structuring capital using this debt position.
Well, that's right. Yeah. And a lot of people are still paying, most people are paying rent for their business, right? Mm-hmm. The question is, would you rather pay it to the stranger down the road?
Yeah.
Or would you rather put it toward your retirement?
Exactly.
You're going to pay it anyway.
Exactly.
At least, if you're earlier in business, at least by year 25, year 30, we can do 30-year terms.
Yes.
That property's going to be unencumbered. Number one, your business won't have rent.
Yep.
Number two, you've got an unencumbered asset sitting in the fund.
Yep.
it's a win-win.
It is a win-win.
If you buy, you know, something decent in the right location.
That's
obviously,
right.
you know, as you said earlier, superannuation is there for retirement.
Yeah.
You don't want to go and buy a dud property that's not going to potentially grow in capital growth. You're better off having your money sitting in a retail fund.
No one wants to buy a dud, that's for sure. But I guess if you're smart enough to own a business that's paying a significant amount of rent, you'll be thinking about the right things for you. So that's if you're a business owner already, and this is a great option for you as opposed to paying rent.
Yeah.
Let's quickly dive into the benefits of having a commercial property in your SMSF. What are the benefits of having that tenant that runs their own business in your security?
Well, I guess residential properties, tenants can be bloody hard. They can in commercial as well, but generally speaking... How long
is a lease in a rental?
Well, on a residential property, you might get 6 months, you might get 12 months, you might get 2 years.
Yep.
You might do an Airbnb and you've got a different tenant every week. You've got the cleaning upkeep of it, you get a phone call every day, the lights aren't working, you know, whatever it may be. Residential can be, I guess, a bit of a headache.
It's a shorter term.
Yeah. Headache and shorter term.
And commercial?
Commercial, people are going to be in the property for longer.
Yeah.
It shows, right? If I go and start a business and I have my business in a certain location, my client base is local, everything I need is around, and that business grows, why would I move?
Exactly.
The only reason I'd really look to move is if I outgrew the space, or, you know, if business was closing down.
Yeah. Take an office, for example. I mean, the office as a... something, but you know, during COVID, nobody wanted to invest in offices, but now we're seeing the return of the workforce to an office place.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there might be a certain number of, you know, head count that can fit in one office space. But certainly if there's a business that's been going a period of time that are a great long-term tenant, don't forget as well that legally, especially within New South Wales, a commercial lease is 5 years unless you have a special agreement with the tenant to reduce it to 3, which they can sign off on. So you're really not having to worry, as long as they keep paying that rent, you're not having to worry about constantly changing over a business.
Tenants generally pay the overheads of the building, so all of your outgoings, which can be significant. They show the love
because they're generating their own income and their staff are, so it's less likely to have the same maintenance issues. Most people, you know,
they'll do it themselves, or it's already been done.
Exactly.
They might fit it out for you.
Exactly.
A lot of businesses will go in there and they need to reconfigure something for whatever reason.
Exactly.
They might give it a lick of paint. They might help improve the value of the property, more so to benefit them as the tenant. But I mean, at the end of the day, unless you go and pull it all down or strip it back when they leave, you know, it might have improved you for the long run.
Good stuff. So at Altura Funding, as the head of mortgage management, we will add these show notes, if okay with you, a bit of a cheat sheet. And is there anything you'd like to impart on the listeners today about, I guess, the lending aspect and what Altura can do?
Well, look, there's certainly opportunities out there. We're here to support with them. We can go to higher LVRs, we can go longer terms. We'll step you through the process. We work with the right people around us to be able to ensure you've got the right advice, you're not buying into the wrong property, and that it's actually going to stack up from a numbers perspective before you go and, you know, show interest in a property.
And they should reach out to you?
Reach out to us. alturafunding.com.au. We're here to help and always available.
Well, thanks, Del. Really appreciate those
Melissa.
insights. I think that the commercial market is going to see, you know, a bit of an increase, especially now that for those who invest in property in their self-managed super fund can no longer really do so, you know, with certainty in residential securities.
Correct. And I mean, something to just add before we go. It may not be a business that acquires a commercial property. You could be anyone that wants to invest in commercial property. You don't need to have a business that's going to operate from that property.
No. Well, thanks everyone for listening to our SMSF special. And thank you, Dale, Head of Mortgage Management at Altura Funding.
Appreciate your time.
Very keen insights from you today. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.